what's up YouTube? Back on the LFDF TV channel, back with the Skyline for this episode. We haven't had a whole lot of content the last couple days. Ran into an issue with the Skyline and I was chasing it around and it got kind of annoying. But now it's all figured out, so we added some modifications. Kind of grew a mustache between then and now. So I'm gonna give you a little walk around and show you guys what I've done since we were last on the channel. I don't really remember quite where we left off. So I'm just gonna give you a quick rundown on what I've done to the car at this point. This car is a 1989 Nissan Skyline GTST, so it's just rear-wheel drive with the RB20 DET in it. Nothing real crazy, but it's my absolute dream car. Stock, they're like 170 something horse at the wheels, and I did a few bolt-ons so far, and I'd say maybe got another 5 horsepower, maybe 10. You can definitely tell a big difference, especially with some of the mods. All right, first off, in one of the videos further back, pretty much everything I've done to this car, besides a few things, are all in previous episodes. I went with the Apexi bolt-on filter for the RB20. Made it sound a whole lot better. Then I also added a bunch of grounds, nice big like 0 gauge cables there, and then I added some here. Another thing I did is I went with the 300ZX twin turbo fuel filter. It's a lot bigger, store a lot more fuel in there, so I feel like the throttle response is just a slight bit better than running that little tiny one. After doing the air filter, I did the charcoal canister delete. So there's no metal lines or rubber lines, it's just a single line running from that to that. Cap that one off, and then there's another one down there that you cap off. You see the yellow. I bought an air pump because you can see these rubber hoses here. All the way down here, there's some horns up in there. We're unknowledged on this. I'm supposed to get one that has 3 ports coming out, and when you hook it up properly, it actually plays a melody or a tune. It's called a grandfather horn. So I mentioned a coolant leak, and that's kind of what really set me back on this car. I got real unstoked on it for a day or two, and then finally got some parts in and started tearing it apart and chasing down the issue. Down under this intake manifold, let's see if I can get a view at it. Yes, so that red hose that runs up there, there's a 90 that came out, and it ran all through the throttle body stuff, the intake manifold stuff, but basically it all looped around to back down here. Let's see if I can get a view at this at all. Probably not. Down here there's another male port that comes out. Oh, it's right there, but it's not gonna, yeah, you see that little clamp there with that. So that comes out, and then it wraps all back around to this guy here in the front. That metal 90 down here broke off. It was already corroded and everything. Basically sliding that silicone hose that you can see, that red one right there, up past the hole where it broke off, unroute all that stuff, or the coolant lines for the intake manifold, throttle body area. That led to, obviously, all these fancy red silicone hoses. I hate red. So eventually one day those are going to be changed probably to black. Now we have this big fancy aluminum radiator with electric fans. So we got rid of the clutch fan. That kind of helps a little bit, free up some horsepower because it's less work for the crank. I don't know, I'm sure it's just little tiny bits that you can tell. But electric fans, do a simple toggle switch. Those turn on. There's your horn button up there for the grandfather horns. Down below there you can see that ISR. It's a high flow Cadillac converter, but I cleaned out the inside. And this is a new mod you guys have not seen yet, is that 3-inch ISR stainless steel downpipe. That thing sounds freaking awesome. And I did toss this plate on. It's just when I scooped up at Karuma Imports when I bought the car. And not that I didn't spend enough money there already, but just to buy a few little accessories to help them out. They only had GTR ones, and obviously this isn't a GTR, so I'm not gonna flex like that. I don't even want a GTR. I'm not interested in all-wheel drive. This red stripe here means it's just a dealer. It means it's a dealer plate in Japan. Another thing I did was I changed the diff fluid. Changing the diff fluid, we did go with this Redline heavy shock proof. It's super thick. Everyone recommends it for the Skylines. Swap out the trans fluid with the OEM stuff with this Redline lightweight shock proof. It's another thing that was recommended. Last but not least, we're gonna toss in this GTST short throw shifter. This one's gonna be nice. Did put the stiffer return springs in this transmission. Everything feels a lot tighter, but this right here should finish off the job. And those return springs make a huge difference. And they work with any Nissan 5-speed transmission, like 300ZX, KA, SR, CA, and RB. So get the car turned around so that way I can be in the shade, jack it up, and get to work. Alright, first thing we're gonna do is get this short throw shifter swapped over. So you unscrew the shift knob. Just be very fine threaded. There we go. Somehow the centerpiece here comes out. Now I really don't want to break it, so give me a second. I'm gonna use 2 hands. Alright, so yeah, with this thing you want to pull it from the front and then you just lift up because there's tabs that go up underneath of here. Holes right there. On your side, so you'll end up snapping those off if you try to go from the back. So front, up, slide it out. But then we got 1, 2, 3, 4 10mm bolts to get this rubber boot off. Alrighty, yes, just as I remembered. Alrighty, so I could only get two bolts out. 12mm, 17mm. That one definitely cannot get that one. Tried on this one once or twice and I just didn't like how it was feeling, so you have to jack the car up and then get under there with a wrench, and that's gonna be a lot of fun. Alright y'all, so I skipped some steps already installed it and everything. All you gotta do is you put a flathead screwdriver on this side, flathead screwdriver on that side, pry them apart away from each other, and that will get this first ring right here to come loose, and then the C clip here was come right out. One thing I had a problem with is that this brass bushing would not fit down into the shifter hole. So I popped it off and I'm running it without it. I mean, there's barely any play. This thing is like short throw. It's hard to tell if you're in first, third, or fifth, or second, fourth, or reverse. Super good though, recommend it 100% for sure. Get everything all hooked back up so it looks almost back to stock. And there we have it, short throw shifter. So there's just a little bit. So I don't have foot on the clutch pedal so I don't mess up my synchros too much. Yeah, all right, there we go. Everything's all tight. Real tight. I like it. Feels great. Put this back in. So if you don't know anything about the Japan culture, they have like these are basically their tolls right there. They have a little sensor. Mine's underneath my seat because I moved it so it was out of the way. But that's what that is down there, ETC reader. Sometimes they'll say things to you. My car doesn't. But I'm alright with that. I'll probably get annoyed of it pretty quickly. Installing the GTST short throw shifter. And the only issue I ran into is this brass bushing would not fit into the transmission hole down in there where the end of the shifter goes. So I popped it off and I'm running it like that. Seems to be alright, but we'll let you know in the future use.